Hey, Jarek Robbins here. Obviously, if you're watching this video, you opted into one of my sites where I promise to share with you the 5 most commonly asked questions that I get and give you some answers, some tools, some strategies to move through those obstacles that are showing up in your life. In saying that, just a brief description and overview of who I am and what I've been up to. For the last 11 years of my life, I've been studying nonstop, 24/7, the personal development, self-help, coaching world. I've grown up working in it. For the last 8 years I've been working in it. Last 2.5 years I've had my own company as far as coaching, speaking, and consulting is concerned. And I've had the ability to work with hundreds of clients one-on-one from around the world, to speak with thousands of people in seminars, events, conventions, again, all the way around the world. And when I say around the world, I mean the UK, Australia, Japan, Thailand, North America, South America, Canada, and everywhere in between. So I've had enough people and enough people experiences to realize that there's some commonalities in the questions I keep getting asked. So the 5 most common questions, just so you know, number 1, people always ask me, how do I know what my life purpose is? How do I know if I'm living my passion every day? How do I know if what I'm doing is what I'm supposed to be doing with my life? I get that question all the time via email, Facebook, Twitter. People pop it over all the time. And what I've learned is I haven't heard of any special, universal alignment of the stars and moon and sun, and the moment that happens is like, bingo, now you know you're on purpose. So I don't know that side of the fact. What I do know is there's a few things. Number 1, you got to figure out what your beliefs are. Your beliefs about life, your beliefs about what you're supposed to do, beliefs about what success means, happiness means, all those things. Number 2, you got to figure out what you value most. What are your core values? What are most important to you in life? And last, you got to figure out what your rules are. Once you know what your beliefs are, once you know what your values are, you got to figure out what has to happen. What's my rule for what has to happen in order for me to, be living that belief or to be living true to that value. And those are 3 steps you can do to immediately connect and be even more on target, even more in alignment in what you're really looking to do in life, to be even more, congruent with what you really love and what you're passionate about. Because if you know what's most important to you and you're working towards that every day and making progress, you're on track, you're on target. So here's the second question. The most commonly asked second question I get from people is, okay, Jarek, I know what to do. I've been to the seminars. I've listened to the tapes. I've read the books. I know all this stuff. How do I get myself to actually follow through? That's the second question I hear. They always ask me, how do I get myself to really be consistent? How do I get myself to stay on track consistently? How do I get myself to not go like this? Because I seem to start out great, doing great, and all of a sudden somewhere I'm like, now I'm off track. And here's what I'll tell you. You have to take whatever it is that you're committed to, and a couple things. Number 1, you got to figure out what is all the pain, and this sounds so simple. You got to figure out what is all the pain that's going to show up in your life if you don't do it, and you got to logically and emotionally figure out, and the key is emotionally, all the pleasure you're going to get and make it real for yourself that if you do it, then you got to play a little game I called making it into a habit. How do you do that? Play the 90-day game. You take out a piece of paper, put 90 check boxes, and the goal is to get every single day in a row for 90 days. If you miss a day, here's the only rule. You got to scrap it, go all the way back to day 1, and start over until you build it up. The moment you get 90 days, I guarantee it's going to be a habit. So there's a couple other suggestions I would say. Number 1, make it a habit. Number 2, pain and pleasure. Number 3, create a big fulfilling vision why. And number 4, practice that vision daily, meaning you're not going to remember to do it. So create a vision board, create an outline of something you can see every single day in front of you. That'll be a reminder that the moment you wake up, bam, it's staring you right in the face. It reminds you you're on track and you get moving towards it. Number 3, here's the thing. People come to me all the time and they say, Jarek, yeah, the first 2 questions, I got those handled. But this third one, this is a whopper. This is the big one. And I say, okay, what is it? And I look down and I read the emails and get the Facebooks and the Twitters and the in-person questions. And the third most commonly asked question people have for me is, okay, I know what to do and I have so much I want to do every day, but I don't have enough time to get it done. What do I do? How do I better organize myself? What's the best system to make sure that I'm on track and on task every single day? Well, I'll tell you, the best system I've seen in the world on keeping people on task and on track every single day, again, is more simple than you think. The first is you got to figure out the answer to 3 questions every single day. Number 1, what do I want? Number 2, why do I want it? Number 3, how am I going to get there? The moment you have those 3 questions, you're on track. Now, you got to take the answer to how I'm going to get there, and you got to break it down into chunks and literally schedule those chunks into your calendar every single day. Now the test is just staying on track. At the end of every day, you want to answer 3 questions. What did I love about today? What was great about today? And what could I do better tomorrow? One thing you want to look at is if you were on track or off track. If you were off track, write in how you could have been better on track and apply it as you schedule your next day. Question number 4, the 4th most commonly asked question people have. Here it is. I know inside what I really want to say to people. I know inside like what I'm meant to be doing with my life, what I'm meant to be sharing with the world, but I just can't find a way to communicate it with others. And I know what it feels like, I know what it sounds like, but I just can't find a way to vocalize it to people. How do I communicate my purpose with the world? How do I communicate my gift, my talent, my abilities, my skills, my insights with all the people around me? And so this is an interesting one. If you really want to learn how to communicate effectively, there's a handful of tools you got to learn how to do. Number 1, you got to learn how to communicate to other people's way of listening. Most people communicate in their own way, meaning if they're a visual person, they talk very visually to people. If they're an auditory person, they talk very auditorily to people. If they're a kinesthetic person, they tend to feel what they're saying and share that with people. So what you want to do is start to be aware of how you best share information, and you also want to start to be aware of how best the people that you want to communicate listen to information. So number 1 is figure out their listening style. Number 2 is figure out your communication style. And number 3, start to figure out how to weave those together so that you communicate in the way that they love to listen. And the more you do that, you can start to move the way you talk, and they'll go with you because they love listening to you. So that's one way. The other way is, how do you actually get the message together? How do you collect it all in one place? And there's a few formatting tools that you want to use to make that happen. You want to cover 4 things in anything you say. Why it's important, what it is, how it works, and then build a compelling future with what it means in the future if they actually follow through. That's more of answering the next question, but it's a combine of the communication. You want to format your information and share it properly with people. Here's question 5. I know what I want in life. I know how to schedule it. I know everything like this. I've got my whole plan put together. I've got all this covered. I even know how to voice what I want to do with the world. I know how to tell people what it is that I'm standing for. I know how to share with them what it is that, I really want, need, or desire. But here's the thing. Every time I share it with them, they don't do anything with it. Now what? They never go out and do what I tell them to do. And I know if they just did it, they would get the result. You ever have this problem influencing people where you constantly throw all the information right at them, but for some reason they never follow through with what you tell them to do? Are you having trouble influencing people? That's the last question I get is, how do I get people to actually take action on what I'm telling them to do? Not just sit there and tell me, yeah, I get it. So here's the final piece. If you want to get people to follow through with what you're saying, you want to get people to actually take action. Again, you got to learn that communication style of formatting it. Why it's important, what it is, how it works, and build a compelling future that makes them excited about actually doing it. That's one piece. The next piece is you want to get into their pain and pleasure. Help them link up pain if they don't do it and pleasure if they do it in their terms. And the last piece is you got to figure out, if you want to influence someone, you have to figure out what already influences them. The moment you have that on your side, now you can use that same method, process, or reason or situation to help move them forward. So in saying that, this was a brief outline. Obviously, I've thrown a lot of tools at you to answer these questions. I'd love to invite you to join me on a live webinar where I go a little bit more in depth in each one of these questions and each one of these sections and give you a little bit more how-to and step-by-step on how to really apply this in your own life. Because imagine, what if, just take a second and imagine here, what if you were able to figure out exactly what you wanted to do in life? You were able to plan it every single day and have a step-by-step plan on how you're going to get there. Not only that, you had a clear way of sharing it with the world around you, and you had an awesome ability to influence people to actually use the tools. I mean, if you had those things in your life, what would happen to your life? What would happen to your health, your emotions, your fitness, your relationships with people? Could you imagine what that would be like? So, if you want to, follow the URL that we'll provide for you here, and you're welcome to join us for that live webinar. We do them a couple times a month, and you can check it out, join us there, get some more insights, some more tools, and hopefully take your life, take your business, and go out there and get some bigger and better results. The results not only that you desire, but the results that you deserve. Have a great day. Thank you for sharing this time with me. See you soon.